Have you ever noticed that no matter which AI chatbot you use, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any other, the answers often sound remarkably similar? You ask for a creative idea and you get almost the same response, just with slightly different wording. This phenomenon is called the artificial hive mind. A team of researchers from the University of Washington, Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, and the Allen Institute for AI investigated this issue on a massive scale. Their findings are striking. Today's language models are converging on a singular worldview. Instead of offering diverse, creative perspectives, they are essentially thinking alike. In this video, we'll break down what the artificial hive mind is, why it matters for all of us, and what researchers say we need to do about it. Let's dive in. Here's something most people don't realize. When you switch from ChatGPT to Claude to Gemini, you think you are getting a fresh perspective, like asking a different friend for advice. But the research shows that's an illusion. In one experiment, the researchers asked 5 different AI models to generate a model for a success-themed social media page. Every single model produced nearly identical output. The same words, the same structure, the same ideas. This is what the researchers call the illusion of choice funnel. You start with what looks like 5 different options, but they all funnel down into the same answer. Brand variety does not equal cognitive diversity. Just because the logo is different doesn't mean the thinking is different. That's a fundamental problem when millions of people rely on these tools for creative inspiration. To study this problem scientifically, the researchers built a massive benchmark called Infinity Chat. This isn't just another AI test with right or wrong answers. They collected over 26,000 real-world open-ended questions, the kind people actually ask chatbots every day. Questions where there is no single correct answer. They then tested more than 25 leading AI models, including both open source and commercial systems. To understand how humans actually feel about these responses, they gathered over 31,000 preference annotations from real people, with 25 independent reviewers rating each example. This dense annotation approach was designed to capture the true range of human opinion, not just on average. It's one of the largest studies ever conducted on AI output diversity, and the results, as we'll see, are deeply concerning. What kinds of questions are we talking about? The researchers created the first comprehensive taxonomy of open-ended queries people ask AI. The biggest category, 58%, is creative content generation, jokes, poems, stories, and essays. Next comes concept explanation at about 24%, followed by analytical questions and hypothetical scenarios, each around 22%. Now, here's the category that raises the biggest alarm: brainstorming and ideation at 15%. This means roughly 1 in 7 questions people ask AI is specifically seeking fresh ideas and inspiration. When AI outputs are overly uniform across this category, we are not just getting boring answers, we risk a long-term homogenization of human thinking itself. If everyone's creative partner gives the same suggestions, eventually everyone starts thinking the same way. The hive mind problem has 2 layers. The first is intra-model homogeneity. This means a single model gives you the same answer over and over, even when you ask the same question multiple times. You might think, just raise the temperature setting or use different sampling methods. But the research shows that even at maximum randomness, top of 0.9 and temperature of 1.0, the average similarity between responses exceeds 0.8 in 79% of cases. The second layer is inter-model homogeneity. This is even more alarming. Different AI companies, using different architectures and training approaches, independently produce nearly identical outputs. For example, DeepSeek and GPT-4o showed over 80% semantic overlap. Switching brands doesn't give you a new perspective. It gives you the same perspective with a different logo. Let's look at a concrete example. The researchers asked 25 different AI models to write a metaphor about time. Each model generated 50 responses. That's over 1,000 attempts at creative expression. What happened? Despite all the variety in model architectures and sizes, the responses clustered into just 2 groups. The dominant cluster was centered on the metaphor, time is a river. used by GPT-4o, Quen, Mixtro, and many others. The smaller cluster revolved around Time is a Weaver, led primarily by llama models. Two metaphors out of thousands of possibilities. When you visualize this using principal component analysis, you see one massive cluster and one small outlier. This is not creative diversity. This is a severe lack of conceptual variety hidden behind surface-level word differences. Some people suggest a simple solution. Just use multiple AI models together. Run your question through 5 different systems and combine the answers. This approach is called model ensembles or model swarms. But the research shows this doesn't work because all these models share the same underlying brain. They are trained on overlapping data from the internet. Many use synthetic data generated by other AI models. And they all go through similar alignment processes using reinforcement learning from human feedback. The result? On average, the top 50 most similar responses to any open-ended query come from about 8 uniquely different models, not 50 unique perspectives. It's like asking 5 people who all read the same book and watched the same news. You get the illusion of diversity without actual diversity. The problem is structural, not superficial. There's another dimension to this problem. Today, AI systems are increasingly used to judge the quality of other AI outputs in training, evaluation, and ranking. These AI judges and reward models assume there's one best answer, but humans don't work that way. When 25 real people were asked to evaluate AI responses to open-ended questions, their preferences showed high entropy, meaning they genuinely disagreed about which answer was best. That's perfectly natural. Different people value different things. The AI judges, however, collapsed all those diverse preferences into a single score. They gave the same high rating to whatever matched their built-in notion of quality, completely ignoring the rich variety of legitimate human preferences. This creates a dangerous feedback loop where AI systems reward sameness and penalize originality. Here's the most striking finding. The researchers measured how well AI judges correlate with human preferences across different levels of human disagreement. When humans mostly agree on what's good, AI judges perform reasonably, with a correlation of about 0.32. But as human disagreement increases, the correlation steadily drops. At moderate disagreement levels, it falls to around 0.1. And at the highest disagreement levels, where humans have genuinely diverse but equally valid preferences, the correlation drops to negative 0.016, essentially zero. This means that for exactly the kind of open-ended, creative questions where diversity matters most, AI evaluation systems completely fail to represent human values. The models that judge quality are blind to the very situations where quality is most subjective and most important. Let's compare the two paradigms side by side. Current AI judges assume there is a single objective ground truth. They produce a single deterministic score. And the result for the ecosystem is that deviation gets penalized and mode collapse gets reinforced. Models learn to produce the safest, most average answer. On the other side, human plurality recognizes that multiple valid truths can coexist simultaneously. Instead of one score, human evaluation naturally produces a high entropy distribution of preferences. This approach rewards exploration and fosters cognitive diversity. The gap between these two paradigms is what the researchers call the alignment gap. Closing it requires a fundamental redesign, moving from systems that optimize for a single consensus to systems that embrace and preserve the full spectrum of human thought. So what do we do about it? The researchers propose 3 key directions. First, stop relying on model ensembles for diversity. Since different models share the same underlying biases, simply querying multiple APIs isn't enough. We need to actually measure semantic distance between outputs. Second, redesign reward systems. Instead of scalar optimization that rewards a single best answer, we need distributional alignment, training systems that reward high entropy, genuinely varied responses. Third, preserve the spectrum. As AI takes on a larger role in creative work, education, and everyday decision-making, we must proactively align for pluralism. Without intervention, we risk a long-term homogenization of human culture itself. The artificial hive mind is not just a technical problem. It's a societal challenge that affects how we think, create, and innovate. Thank you for watching.